Welcome back, everybody. Green Line Breakdown, episode 21. I got my good friend Alec joining us today. Alex, say hi to the folks.
Thanks for having me back on.
Playoffs.
Playoffs.
We're in them. We are in them. Never thought this day would come. It is the last day of the regular season. We are recording this on Sunday, April 12th. Still some games to be decided.
Yep.
Our seeding's locked up, but we are riding the ship at this point. First things first, Alec. Do you think we would be here?
I mean, last time we talked, I felt like we were chalked up to have a playoff spot. Although I definitely didn't think we'd get sitting at number 2.
No,
so wasn't surprised.
I mean, I don't know. Going back to my original prediction, I think after the second week when we had lost whatever it was, 5 games in a row, 6 games in a row, we were in a bad rut those first 3 weeks. And I said, I was like, wow, that's pretty bad. But I feel like we can still turn the corner. And, at the time, originally, it was like, we can get a play-in spot. And then it turns to, all right, well, we could probably get like 5 to 6, 4 seed, right? Somewhere in the middle there, because the East isn't that great. And then eventually we just rose the ranks, and it never really came off of like a really long winning streak or anything of the sort. But by the end of, I don't know, around Christmas time, it just felt like we were walking out of weeks with 3 or 4 wins every time.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've always played smart this season. We really beat up on bad teams and go wire to wire, with the top contenders, especially in the Western Conference. So, Joe's been doing a good job keeping the game together. I think a lot of people don't realize that how close of a playoff race the rest of the Eastern Conference is. Although the Knicks, I think everybody from 4th through all the way to 8th place in the play-in is like 1 or 2 games apart from each other. So we're definitely, I think we're pretty fortunate. They also did a good job staying on top of the schedule, not making mistakes like it looks like the Knicks have done at times. Being able to make up a little bit of ground on the Pistons, like after the All-Star break, like you were saying. So definitely impressed.
Yeah, so taking a look at the standings here, 5 through 9 is within 3 games of each other. And you can throw the Heat in there just in the 10th play-in spot, and that's 4 games.
Mm-hmm.
And then it seems like a drop after that. So 1 through 4 has been consistent throughout the season, I think. I don't think once we got back up in the top 4, I don't think we ever left that spot. And I think it's been a mix of Detroit, New York, Cleveland, and ourselves. So,
yeah,
like I said, I don't think the East got enough credit for how good they were. Not saying I don't think the West is better, but you have like the top 2 teams, right? You have the Thunder and the Spurs at the top. And then you have Nuggets, Lakers, Rockets, Timberwolves, Suns, 3 through 6. And all those teams, and even the Spurs and Thunder more down the road, I think can be beaten by any team in the East. I don't really think there's any juggernaut. Originally, the Thunder were kind of weaning that way, but I feel like they have some holes. Spurs are young. So everybody's got a reason of why they can lose it towards the end here.
Yeah, and coming into the first round of playoffs here, after the play-in gets done, I don't think that anybody really has a good matchup in either conference. I think we're really primed for probably more upsets than people think. And I think definitely in the Eastern Conference, we're playing Orlando tonight. Recording this right before the game's supposed to start. Not to get into that would be an interesting game because I'm actually coming off the bench to play for Mazzulla. I'm on my way down right now because nobody else is starting.
That's good. Can we get a couple guys from Dorchester on the court?
Yeah, something like that. Maybe Medford or wherever. Brockton can represent. But looking at coming out of the play-in, the Magic again are not a team I enjoyed us playing last season. I think that even though that was a 5-game series against them.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Yeah, it wasn't 4, but it's not like it was. It wasn't risky, if that makes sense. But I actually think of playing them and how physical they are. even though they couldn't make a shot to save their life, was a big issue. It really wore down the team a lot. Even compounding with whatever injuries they were dealing with. I wouldn't be surprised if we had played a different team or packed up the Magic in 4 games if Tatum maybe doesn't tear his Achilles against the Knicks. I think that series really took a lot out of them. So I wouldn't want to play them again. Charlotte, even though we beat them pretty handily the other week, they've been pretty hot still. They're like 15-13 or something like that on an extended run now. I don't think if Dre was here, he'd probably be clowning me. I don't think I'd want to go in a 7-game stretch against them either. I forget who else we could be matched up against. Really, the Raptors are the only team I think I would look forward to playing.
Yeah, so I mean, let's kind of get into the structure here. We'll go a little deeper into how we got here, but let's take a look ahead. So Detroit's locked up the first. They've had it locked up for probably the last 2 games. They just had such a good start, and even with Cade taking, getting his pneumothorax.
Yeah, and he just came back.
Huh?
He did play a game on
yeah, he is back.
Wednesday.
So he's good to go.
Yep.
Let's see what Detroit can do. I think he's going to be limited. I mean, anytime your lung collapses, it's a very cardio-driven sport. That's a hard thing to get by. It's almost like a wrist or hand injury, right? It's like you dribble the ball, it affects every play. So a lung collapse definitely going to change things for Detroit, but they're still a good team. Their biggest thing is depth.
Yeah,
Cade carries a lot of that, so we'll see. They're going to end up playing teams, right? So how about we work our way in, right? So Cleveland, New York, Celtics, Pistons, 1 through 4, they're all solidified. And then 5 through 10, specifically 5 through 7, can change up with this last night of games. So we're not even 100% sure what the East is going to settle with. I'll tell you right now, we're playing the 7 seed, and the 7 seed ends up being the first winner of the 7-8 play-in game, right?
Right.
So the Raptors and the Hawks are neck and neck. One will be in the play-in, one won't. One will get the 5 seed. But I believe if Atlanta loses tonight, and Atlanta plays the Heat, who are the 10 seed, and the Raptors win, who are playing Brooklyn, who are bottom of the East, garbage, I think the Raptors take that spot. And then the Hawks take the 6, right? So where are we left with? That's the scenario I want to look at, because Cleveland plays the Raptors. I don't think the Raptors are going to beat whoever they're seed against. I just don't think they have any strong traits to really defeat those top 4. Atlanta.
No, I agree with that.
You would agree? Atlanta has been a headache for the past 2 months for any team, including us. They went on that crazy win streak, and we got a win against them, but we were the only team. I mean,
and we lost a game to them in that streak too.
And we lost, didn't we? I think whoever Atlanta's playing, Atlanta's got a good shot to beat. Now, I would rather Atlanta play New York. So tonight I'm cheering for, and we'll know by the time this is posted tomorrow, but I'm cheering for Atlanta to lose tonight and Raptors to get that win. Because I want Atlanta to see it against the Knicks. I want the Knicks bounced early.
Yeah, that'd be interesting. I think the Raptors, the only thing the Raptors have going for them is they play pretty good defense, but their shooting just isn't there right now. And that's interesting because the Hawks, one I've obviously been very impressed by with that win streak of them decided to move on from Trae Young and Porzingis. Porzingis didn't really do anything there, but I'm really impressed with how they managed to turn that around. Seemingly mid-season, they play really good defense too. Like we were saying, we got one on them, and when we were a little undermanned, they beat us because their shooting's better than Toronto. So I agree. I think they could beat up on the Knicks. I don't know. I don't really see the Knicks as dropping the first round, even though I'd like them to. I think they are a little bit better put together than they have been in years past. I don't know how much is Mike Brown as their new coach?
Yeah, so they, obviously Thibodeau's gone, and
and he's
Mike
really
Brown
running
took
them
over.
wire to wire.
Yep. So I mean,
Yeah,
Thibodeau's big thing was he wore his players down, but I think he also got the most out of them. Where I like Mike
yep,
Brown, I think Mike Brown's a good coach, but I think where they're going to be rested, they just aren't getting as much out of MacLeod Bridges. They're not getting out as much from Josh Hart and a couple of those guys. There's some others too that have been doing better than they were last year, but those are kind of one more their big ticket guys. You got obviously Cat's Cat, Jalen Brunson, but then you start going down that list of MacLeod, Josh Hart, and I know I'm missing somebody in that lineup, but those guys are not outputting as much as I saw under Thibodeau.
yeah. But we played them on Thursday or Wednesday,
Yeah, Thursday.
which obviously we lost that game because they were nuclear from three. They had just an insane shooting night. They were, I think, over 50%. Multiple back-to-back possessions, just like firing it out from 30 feet, like Pritchard and Shireman. So that was a tough loss, but this is the thing I found interesting about the Celtics matching up against the other front runners in the conferences. Like this happened the first time we played the Thunder. Yeah, we did lose, but it wasn't anywhere near a blowout. Like that was a 6-point loss coming out of, with, it wasn't really garbage time against the Knicks, but that was a 6-point loss with a late three from Josh Hart. And we had a terrible shooting night. Like nobody on the Celtics got going until Shireman in the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And we were basically within one possession.
I don't think Mazzulla was showing much either, right? Like he sees them coming down the road. I don't think he was doing.
Nah, he doesn't want to give them anything to build on. And
I don't think he's showing defensive.
He loves to sandbag. I don't know if you've noticed this. Like I said to start, when we kind of beat up on these teams near the bottom, like Miami, he loves to do this with Miami. We get like a 40-point lead, and then he's just like, yeah, I'm not taking a timeout for the rest of the half. Let them score 20 straight, and then we'll see if we can figure it out. Just to go out there, guys. Get warmed up in the clutch. It's good for you. Everybody at home is having a hard time, but
to his credit, I think he really does allow the players to experience every possible situation, which I don't know if that is beneficial. I don't think it really matters because, I mean, like you said, unless you force your hand and create the opportunity, it's rare that happens. I don't think a lot of what we see is going to happen in the playoffs. It's going to be pretty standard. We've seen all these teams. We know what they do best, and we're going to cover. But, yeah, I mean, I think just to go into Mazzulla a little bit, he again Coach of the Year, you think?
I mean, I think he deserves it. I don't know who else is, because it's hard to say. Like, it's weird. In retrospect, you'd be like, oh, of course Joe Mazzulla should get Coach of the Year. Everybody thought this was going to be an off year. And it kind of feels weird to even say that now. It would be like, oh, the Celtics were going to take a gap year. The Celtics of all team? Like, realistically, I don't know why we fell for that. Like, that was never going to pan out. So I think he definitely should be the front runner. Again, like, I don't know who else really has, other than, is Bickerstaff still the Pistons coach? Or, I forget, did they?
Cleveland. Yes. Sorry. Not, who did you say? He's played
JB Bickerstaff?
Detroit.
Yeah, he's still the coach. Yeah. I mean, he has a really strong argument. Because I think one of the things you've got to look at is roster retention between years, right? So the Pistons, not really much change from the last year, but they've had a ton of growth this year. Obviously, like, they were nowhere near the front runner last year, and they run away with it. I think that's a really strong argument. On the inverse, the Celtics, of course, Cruz out, Porzingis out, Tatum just came back. Thank God. Who else do we lost? Cornette gone. we were really running with a shell of what the team has looked like in the last 2 or 3 years.
For sure.
Really the only consistency was Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard. Everybody else were, I think we talked about this last time I was on, they're coming out of G League development or just getting some odd bench minutes like Shireman when he was drafted last year. So I think for that's the obvious reason why Joe should be the front runner is getting to number 2 with 60% a new roster. Even Jaylen Brown's a superstar, all-star.
More impressive than Detroit coming back with the same crew and just getting a better seeding.
Yeah, I mean Detroit has a ton of growth. I think that's between Joe and Bickerstaff. That's probably the competitive race. I don't think anybody in the Western Conference really has an argument to be Coach of the Year. If we were doing like worst Coach of the Year, Steve Kerr.
Definitely the Warriors. I mean, they got sacked with injuries, but I mean, I would give some credit. Possibly, I mean, just looking at the West, Spurs, I kind of give it more credit to their players, right? Like that's Wemby, that's Harper, that's Castle. Those are their players really getting them there. Los Angeles,
and they had that
kind of had a middle of the road halfway through the season. They turned it up a notch, but I'm not going to give that to the coach, right?
No, I wouldn't give that to Redick. And it's the same thing. Those guys this is their second year with Luka on, so they're all used to each other.
Sure. The chemistry is a little better. You know what I will say? And I've given them credit all season, but you're not the Phoenix Suns head coach. That team really has not much legs to stand on, right? Like their roster is full of a bunch of
Devin Booker and
support guys. Grayson Allen and obviously God, who's their star player? Why am I blanking?
Devin Booker.
Yeah, Devin Booker.
Come on, man.
Devin Booker has been their guy. He's still their guy, but outside that, it's a lot of it's a lot of what I look at as support guys. So, and he got them to a 7 seed in what is a pretty, rough West. I would give them credit. But I do think, going back to Mazzulla, if you look at how not the awards for Coach of the Year, but how the other awards are shaping out, right? So Jaylen Brown's not going to finish top 5 in MVP voting. We're not going to have a 6th man of the year. We're not going to have, maybe Keita makes a all defensive team, and maybe it's like a second team, right? Like it's not going to be first team.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to have one All NBA in Jaylen Brown. I think he is going to get All NBA.
Yep.
Jason Tatum comes back healthy, in good shape, at the right time, and you lose Porzingis, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Luke Cornett. Like kind of a big chunk of what your chemistry was, especially Holiday on the defensive side. And, Porzingis obviously didn't play so many games, but when he was in there, he was pretty hard to stop. So you have all these rookies coming up, and maybe not rookies, right? But like second or third year players, Walsh, Shireman, and Gonzalez. So all those combined, no Jason Tatum for 70% of the season. And you're not just getting in the playoffs, you are the 2nd seed and probably the favorite. I think because of the recognition going elsewhere for those other awards kind of points the direction of Joe Mazzulla getting it this year. I think that's what it's going to finish up to be.
Yeah, I agree. It would be weird. I mean, and I don't think that this is how awards should work in the first place, but it would be weird considering what the main narrative about the Celtics has been for them to not win any awards. I mean, I think that Jaylen Brown really does have a very strong argument for MVP. It's probably, my pick would be Wembanyama. I think JB should be like top 3. I won't get into that too much for this, but
I think he actually
it would definitely be.
He's going to sneak in because of the 65 game rule. So he's going to be
Is Luka going to fall off?
Luka's going to be off.
Yeah, I don't think Luka had a real argument for
MVP. Wemby's close, if not off of it already. I know he was doing some math problem on how it's a bad rule, and they all hate the rule. I don't know if Wemby's proposal was switching to minutes instead of games, because he's like, if you play 50 games and it's like 30 minutes, you end up playing more minutes than a guy who played 65 games but only 20 minutes, whatever it was.
Like 20 minutes. Yeah.
I
Yeah, I don't know.
I like that
I like
idea.
I like the whole reducing load bearing thing with how that rule works.
It
But
really does.
yeah, I could agree that it could be true.
I wouldn't be opposed to making it,
You know, it's like
award individually determined by the award, right? All NBA team, 40 games, right? So just because MVP stays at 65 doesn't mean the other awards have to be 65. I think if you adjust it that way, because you can be a considerable defender and like be a 1 or 2, and you only ended up playing 50 games, right? Obviously you left a lot on the board, but like you could be out there and be like, oh, when he plays, he's unstoppable. But I don't think 65 is a bad milestone to hit for the MVP. If you weren't,
no, that's like 75% of the season.
I know. If you can't hit that,
Like,
how valuable are you? Your biggest asset is your availability.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Yes, I agree.
Yeah, I just, so I get some of the complaints. I do get it in terms of like the all NBA teams and 6-man of the year, whatever it may be, where they can lower it a little bit. But MVP, I think, is good at 65. They point to Jokic. Oh, Jokic should be MVP, but he's not going to hit it, right? But it's like, okay, well, he wasn't around. And yeah, sure, the team lost his games and they won when he played, but you're not around. You got to be around to be valuable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm too harsh on that.
Yeah, I agree, because I think that 65 number gives you the right amount of room where you could have a guy who is the MVP be out for, a while. Like, you could have a good 10, 12 game stretch from one injury where you're out. And if the team craters while you're gone in the middle of the season and you come back still on 65 and, fix it, that's a perfect argument in of itself. Like, this team needs me to be successful. When I'm not here, it's not working. But you could change that argument around on me too, and in that sense, be like, oh well, if he's out 30 games, like you said, and he only plays 50, and there's a valley, like shouldn't that count? But you do got to draw the line somewhere. It's like if Joel Embiid played the first 10 games of the season and the Sixers went undefeated and then didn't play any other games the entire year, you'd be like, what do I care? He didn't help the Sixers, didn't affect anything in the rest of the league because he's not contributing.
Right.
That'd be a disservice to everybody else who plays the rest of the season. And that's an extreme example, but you get what I'm saying. There's got to be a floor somewhere.
Yeah, there's going to be some revisions when this season's over. That it just seems the way it's moving, but that's, for now. Right now, we are poised to have a coach of the year, I think, and obviously all NBA with Jaylen Brown. To kind of go back to the standings, right, where the East is setting up to be. We talked about what the possibility of Atlanta being kind of a disturbance in the playoffs. So what are we looking at, right? Hawks and Raptors, Magic, 5, 6, 7. Any of those teams, and sorry, the Sixers at 8. It could all adjust. Out of those 4 teams, who do you want to play? Raptors?
I'd say Raptors or the Sixers.
Yep.
They were kind of tough at the start of the year. I think VJ Edgecombe, he's doing pretty well for himself over there. And I actually like Tyrese Maxey. Joel Embiid is the only guy I don't like over there, really. But I don't think it doesn't look like they've really been able to keep it together in the same way that I think a lot of people were probably hoping they could. Like I said, Edgecombe and Max, it seemed like they're a good match. So I don't think I would mind playing them. We haven't played, be a fun Philly series. I haven't played them in a while, I feel like. But I think Toronto would still be my number one. We really beat up on them this year, and I don't see them really having an emergence.
No, yeah,
at the end,
we always take care of Toronto. They are the one team who I don't think they ever get one over on us.
My cousins live in Toronto, so I really hold that over them.
Sure. The Sixers, Maxey always has a great game against us, but it's a question of whether the rest of them kind of put it together. He'll have 35, but we still win the game because, Edgecombe, he's having a great year. He's the third in the rookie of the year voting, excuse me. And, they just need some more pieces around him. Get rid of Embiid. He's done. You need a stronger front court. But Orlando, again, you had mentioned about last year, they always play tough defensively. They just can't shoot the ball for their lives. Paolo Banchero kind of took a step back this year. So I would not be as nervous as playing Orlando this year as I was last year. I feel like they did beat us up, which is part of the reason we kind of had a bad start against the Knicks. So I would like to avoid them if possible. And Toronto and Sixers would both be my choice. You've got Charlotte at the 9, who has just been of a disturbance as much as Atlanta has down the stretch. Now, we can't play them as a seed. They can beat the Heat. I think 9-10 are secured. They can beat the Heat to get into the 8 seed, who would play Detroit. And I think if Charlotte gets the 8 seed and plays Detroit in that first round, I would not be shocked to see Charlotte get out of there.
I agree. That's what I was saying, at the start of the show here. I think we're primed for a couple of upsets. I mean, it's good to see Cade back with the Pistons. Like we said, coming out for collapsed lung really is taxing on you. We saw, I guess you could call it related, or it was in the same vein with Porzingis last year. Now we know he has a POTS, and just not being able to exert yourself in the way you expect to be able to, especially in that kind of environment. It was probably a lot as a major detriment that I don't think people are accounting for, because Cade's got the best case for them is Cade is honest with himself and with the team. And I don't watch a lot of the Pistons. I don't watch much of clips of Cade, so I don't know what kind of guy he is, but they've had a lot of success. And my worry would be coming in to playoffs there, he's just gonna say, like, I'm ready to go. I can give whatever you need me to, such on and such forth. And my fear would be that's not necessarily true. Again, I don't know though. I don't watch any Pistons games really, other than when we play them. So hopefully that's not the case. I would love to see him ready to go. And outside of that, I think they only dropped 2 games while he was away. I was thinking we could make up ground and maybe get the first seed. While Cade was out, obviously didn't happen. But yeah, I agree with you. Charlotte's hot. They don't play a crazy defense like I think the Hawks and the Raptors probably play better defense, but their shooting is unbelievable. Like Knuppel, I think Cooper Flag should be Rookie of the Year still, but Knuppel is like he has a real good argument and fits super well in that system. I didn't like playing him even when we did beat him a couple weeks ago. I was on the edge of my seat pretty much the whole time, just waiting for them, like us, to get a cold streak and them just to take over.
Cooper's had a bit of a coming
yeah,
out
I think
party
you're
these
there.
last few months. Maybe last month particularly. He's had a couple 30-plus games. I think he had 140.
Yeah.
But I think Knuppel's going to get the nod because Charlotte is a playing team. Dallas is 13? What is their
Maybe. I mean, Flag, he
13.
just had that 50-point game the other day.
50, that's what it was. Yeah, but how much is that really going to add to it? Oh, cool, he got a 50-point game, but they're 13.
Yeah. I don't know, but you got to think about it's maybe this. To me, that's the same thing as the MVP. It's like Rookie of the Year. I think depends on. You got to look at the bigger picture. Like, what are you doing? Charlotte's lineup their roster hasn't been bad. They just haven't had success. So Connor's coming into a good system where you could do that. But Mavericks are in shambles. They had nothing left. Getting Cooper Flag was the only ray of hope they had.
Charlotte's got a brand new head coach.
So for them, that's true. That is true.
Celtic assistant coach, so probably more equipped than what they've had.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah. Well, then maybe that's why. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, but again, I guess Rookie of the Year is different. It's not really a load-bearing position like MVP is.
Right.
I guess it could be anything. I think they both have good arguments. I would just be surprised if Con got that.
So I actually do have the scenarios in front of me for a little more clarity.
Yeah, I think the NBA publishes them today. Who's
9 and 10 are
primed up against Cleveland?
what's that?
Who's so Pistons would play Charlotte, and then who would Cleveland play? Because
So
the
this is
other team a little.
yeah. So that's all to be determined by today's games, which Charlotte and Miami are 9 and 10 no matter what. Now they play depending on how they win tonight. It's deciding who hosts that game, which I don't really think matters in the end. But there's 10 games tonight that have 10 seeds that can be in effect. Hawks, Sixers, Raptors, and Magic are all fighting for the 6th spot. So we can play any of those 4. Atlanta could finish 5th, but the other 3 cannot. They can only get high as 6. So these are the games, right? Hawks get the 5 with a win over the Heat tonight or a loss by the Raptors against the Nets. The Raptors get the 5 with a win against Brooklyn and losses by the Hawks and Magic.
Okay.
The Raptors are locked in top 6 no matter what. The Magic secure the 6th spot with a win over the Celtics tonight. If the Raptors lose to the Nets, they will clinch at least the 7 with a win or Sixers lost to the Bucks. The Sixers can clinch the 6, but need a win over the Bucks. Raptors lost to the Nets, and Magic lost to the Celtics. Sixers kind of have the worst odds, I would say. Magic second in front of them, and then Raptors and Hawks are kind of tied at the best. The least, the most minimum things need to happen in their favor.
Yeah,
really
the least in danger
themselves to get it done.
Yeah.
So I mean, we could play any of those 4 teams, and I think we already talked about it. Like, I think I would prefer the Raptors. Magic probably right behind, Sixers. Magic third, and then I don't want to play Atlanta. I think Atlanta can play us good. I don't think they can beat us, but I don't want those early rounds going 6, 7 games. I want them 4 and 5. Keep it, minimum.
I agree.
We stay rested. We get less beat up. We don't have to deal with the issues we did last year, and it's all good to go. The West, not as
They seem much more solidified already.
Yeah, they're definitely a little more solidified. God, why can't I find this? So Lakers clinch the 3 spot if they win a Sunday against the Jazz, and if the Nuggets lose. If the Nuggets win, they get the 3.
They would definitely beat the Jazz.
Portland can lock up the 8 with a win over the Kings, and those are the 2 seeds that are up for grabs. It's more an East race.
Yeah, Portland, I don't think will be in. They owe their potential lottery pick to the Thunder if they make playoffs, so I think they might sandbag against Sacramento and just run it back next year.
I wouldn't blame them if they did that. I don't think anybody wants to give the Thunder more picks. So now we kind of have an understanding of the seeding, and playoffs start on Saturday. You have the playing games. I want to say 15th. So starting Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, right? So 3 days of playing games. And then Saturday, the playoffs begin. And then that goes all the way to June 3rd, which is when the finals start. How do you see this shaking out? Originally, like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I would have told you, I thought 1 through 4 was going to win in the East, right? So I thought, no problem. Detroit, Celtics, Knicks, Cavs, they're going to get it done. It's going to be 1 through 4 in the second round. But now with the emergence of the Hawks, kind of the fire under the Hornets, depending on how they shape up, they have to win 2 games to get there, but I think there can be some upsets. What do you think will likely happen? Do you think it's just going to be 1 through 4, or do you see Atlanta or any of those other teams making it out?
Yeah, I think I do, and I'm in the same boat. I would agree 2 weeks ago. I probably would have thought it'd just be all chalk all the way up. I think that Pistons against a hot Charlotte team is a bad matchup. I think Charlotte can flip that. I think that I'm skeptical of Cleveland kind of all the time. Who'd we say they were? Sorry, I know you just said it.
Cleveland, so it
Who
could
they
be
matched
the
up against?
Hawks or the Raptors.
Yeah, Hawks would be bad. Definitely be bad for them. If that's the case, I could see the Hawks getting one there. I don't think the Knicks will lose the first round. I think they're pretty motivated by their success last year. And I don't think the Celtics will lose against whoever we play, especially with Tatum back. We're like same idea as the Knicks. We're pretty motivated to prove that, this year has been on purpose and the success is what we worked for. Not that I think anybody doubts that, but I think it's, the team is motivated.
Right. And I think we're getting a lot of credit, right? Because we didn't tank, even though after those first few weeks we were kind of in position to, and everybody was like, yep, you know what? You guys are hurt. You lost a lot of your team. We're not really expecting much. And they said, no, we're just going to go for it anyway. So we're getting a lot of
we're going to
credit
figure it
that
out.
because there is an argument going on. How does NBA fix tanking, right? So we were a perfect spot with a lot of guys in the top three, right? This draft ahead of us is actually fairly good. It's not just one guy, right? You got Boozer, you got DeMonsta. There's a couple of guys out there that 1 through 5 maybe is a considerable game-changing pick for the teams that have them.
There's a lot of upside in the lottery right now.
Yeah. So you have an opportunity in front of you, and you say, no, we can take it. We can beat the teams in front of us in the East. And, like I said, halfway through the season, I would have said OKC or the Spurs would have trounced us. But the more it went on, I go, you know what? The way it is, once we get to the finals, it's anybody's game. And I don't think that even goes for just us. I think that goes for the teams in the East, too, because you know what? OKC, people forget, went 7 games with the Pacers last year, who nobody thought would have.
I was just going to say.
So if somebody gets
especially with the way they talk about, especially the way they talk about OKC this year, that team really hasn't changed since they won last year.
Right.
So if Halliburton and the Pacers could take them to 7, I don't see a reason why anybody else in the East wouldn't be able to. Whoever comes out of the East is still the conference final champion. They're top dog. So I don't think the finals won't be a 4-game or any kind of blowout. It'll probably be another 7-game stretch this year.
Yeah, I think like the regular season itself, where obviously the East is close, but the West, where, it's the last day of games, right? But it's not to say that the West isn't close. There are just a little more gaps in between each seed. Obviously, you have the Thunder and the Spurs, but the Nuggets, the Lakers, Rockets, and Timberwolves are all kind of the same team for me. Obviously, not the way they play, but they're all as good as they can be in different ways. Nuggets are off of, Jokic and Murray. Lakers, LeBron and Luka, and Rockets, Kevin Durant. That's a strong defensive team. Timberwolves, Edwards, Gobert. You have all these guys that on any given week can play a hell of a game. And I think the West can be just as much of a bloodbath as the East can be. You don't really have your sleeper teams coming from the play-in like the East does with, Atlanta's out of the play-in, but Charlotte, ever so, they're at the 6. They're a little more towards the top, right? So you have the 1 through 8, you got like 5, 6 that Nuggets are going to play the Timberwolves, right? Oh, who wins that?
Oh, that's a good match.
That's a coin flip to me. Lakers play the Rockets. That's a coin flip. So it really can come out to be whatever it is. 7 and 8 seeds are going to end up being a combination of the Sun, Trailblazers, Clippers. Clippers maybe can slip in, but I think no matter what, Thunder and Spurs are going to take care of business in the first round.
I completely agree. I think Thunder and Spurs are, for the first round, untouchable.
Yep.
For the rest of those matchups, I'd say probably, I don't think Luka is coming back in time, right? Then he got divorced, I would that the Rockets were the most likely to lose out of like a good team in the first round. But if they're playing the Lakers, I don't think Ime is really good for it. But I think without Luka, the Lakers will really struggle. We would really have to see like a Braun masterclass one last time for them to make it through that. like I said, I don't think Portland's going in. So I'd say probably Suns and then Clippers. So Kawhi and the power of fraud carries them
Yep.
somewhere. No, people forget about that.
Yeah,
You know, tangentially related in local news, the sale of the Connecticut Sun and the WNBA makes no sense whatsoever, and seems like it was driven entirely by commissioner override from Adam Silver.
Yeah, I think it's
I
all
think in the off
corruption.
season, yeah, we might want to have a tough, difficult conversation as fans of the league on if this NBA needs new leadership.
I would be open to that discussion.
Hey, NBA front office, call me. I'm on my 2 weeks. I already had to open other gigs. Yeah. Getting back to the playoffs, though. Yeah. Obviously, I think Spurs. It'll probably be Spurs Thunder conference final matchup there, which I think is what everybody wants to see.
So it's a good time, right? So can you give me your West and then who you think that are going to go in the finals? West and East.
Yeah. Let's start with the West because I'm already thinking about. Like I said, I think first round, who makes it out? Thunder, Spurs, Rockets. And then I think I would say Nuggets. I think they can beat the Timberwolves again, but like I said, that'll probably be the Western series I tune into out of all of them. Then from there, it would be what? Thunder, Nuggets, and before Spurs, Rockets.
Sorry, Thunder. Yeah, so Thunder and Nuggets in the conference finals.
No, I'm saying for semi.
No, so Spurs would play the Nuggets. Thunder would play the 4. So or Lakers, Rockets, Timberwolves, one of those teams.
Yeah. Okay. So Thunder, Rockets. Yeah, I don't think Ime is good for it there. I don't think he learned a lot from the 2022 fiasco against Golden State with us. But that's interesting because we've seen the Spurs and the Nuggets has been a good matchup all year, and they have been. I think they split, so they're getting one on each other. So that's a real coin flip. I think Wembanyama wants it more. Of course, this is all barring no injuries, so I would say, yeah, probably Spurs get that one over the Nuggets in a long series. So West, Thunder, Spurs. I personally would really like it if the Thunder didn't go back to back. And I would actually, outside of me not liking the Thunder and this team composition, I would rather just watch the Spurs and Wembanyama anyway. I think, he's going to be around for a long time, assuming he doesn't have recurring deep vein thrombosis in his shoulder blade, which is what took him out last year. So I'd say Spurs come out of the West, and I think that's what everybody wants to see. And then, of course, I don't see why the Celtics can't win in the East. So, I think let's see. So if
we beat the Knicks to get to the conference finals, you're looking at Cleveland or Detroit or whoever came out of the, if the Hawks came out or.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I was saying earlier, I think the Hornets could upset the Pistons to start, but I don't know if they can make it through the second round. Although I feel like they would have maybe a better matchup there.
Well, they're coming against us in the second round if they beat Detroit.
Shit, man. We might lose. No, I think we could beat them in the second round if that happens. So we beat the Knicks, go to conference finals. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time conceptualizing the Eastern bracket.
Yeah.
So who would we play?
Sorry, so if you think Charlotte gets out, this is if Charlotte gets out of the first round?
Yeah.
So it's us against Charlotte, and then New York plays
Cleveland or the Hawks.
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think the Knicks.
I think New York wins that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think. Yeah, I don't think either the Cavs or the Hawks beat the Knicks. I think there may be other teams who could.
We
but I
are
don't think for
looking at
that
a
round.
potential. I just want to point this out. If Raptors stay at 6, right? We are looking at a potential. No, sorry, 6. No, if Raptors drop to 7, yes. If Raptors drop to 7, we're looking at a potential Raptors, Hornets, and then New York to the finals. So I think the Eastern Conference Finals is a tough matchup, but the first 2 rounds are cakewalks for us at that point.
Yeah.
So do you think it's going to be like Boston, New York in the end?
I think the way that, especially if Detroit loses the first round, I think if Detroit wins,
They have some steam.
maybe. I think they have some steam. They could beat the Knicks,
Yeah.
right? I don't think we play them.
All right, so gun to your head.
Celtics, of course.
No, I know, no. So Celtics, Knicks.
Yeah,
So you're looking
I
at
think
under
I think so.
OKC, Celtics, Knicks finals. I think
Yeah,
conference finals. Excuse me. That is like an NBA wet dream if it ends up being that, right? Like those are your big ticket guys in the conference finals, and then you got Celtics coming out against who?
Spurs.
In Celtics finals would be an entertaining watch. I mean, just the way the 2 games. Obviously, they got both on us, but there's some animosity there, more towards the refs than the players. But they've got something going, and I think the finals would really like blow it out of the water for the next few years.
I would love a Celtics Spurs matchup. Honestly, like we're fairly heavily driven by the fact that we haven't gotten a good game against the Spurs. The first game we played, we were super undermanned. Obviously, Tatum wasn't back, and I want to say Pritchard and Derek White were out that game. So I think they won by like 12, but we were pretty undermanned. And then, of course, the second game where we were primed to have a really good matchup, they fucking ruled Jaylen Brown out. Still upset about that. So, just on, it's like 2023, like Denver, Miami. Nobody wanted to watch Denver, Miami. Celtics were I think everybody in the league after we lost to Golden State was like, man, who's going to beat Denver? Celtics can go fuck it out.
I'm glad you brought this finals up because I'm going to get into my finals picks right after this.
Yeah.
We'll
that's what I think. I don't know, and so that's why I want to see that matchup. I think it's fantastic. I think our roster, even though we're the most dominant team in NBA history of 18 banners, we got kind of a Cinderella story underdog thing going, kind of, but not really. And then I just really like the Spurs lineup. Yeah, I think they're a very likable team, even when they're dominating. It could be easy to hate teams. I think in that stretch, we'd probably lose, all things considered, in a 7 game. I think the Spurs could get 4 on us.
I think they're young, and that's always something you got to look at. But yeah, that's a team I wouldn't hate losing to, right? Like with the Super Bowl this year, when you're looking at the Patriots, you're looking at the other side of Rams and Seahawks. Seahawks were the team you wouldn't hate losing to as much as the Rams.
No, I agree.
We lost to the Rams. I would have had a coronary, but thank God the Seahawks got there. They trounced us, but it worked out. I think the league views the Spurs as that. They're the young team. They've got the superstar that's, for the most part, likable. He's just so unique. Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed. But I'm glad you brought up the 23 finals because I think I have a curveball of a pick to get to the finals here. So I'll start with my East picks because I think Detroit's going to drop early. I don't think Cade's in good enough shape. I don't think their depth is in good enough shape. So I think Detroit is going to kind of have a disappointing first round. So obviously we are playing whoever beats them, whether that's Charlotte or the Magic. Like anybody could be that 8 seed right now. So whatever team that is, we're playing them. And that leaves New York to play Cleveland, who I think will get a win no matter what. I think if it's the Hawks, Cleveland, I still think the Cavs are just a strong enough team, right? I also think New York, off of the animosity from last year of like getting so close, kind of getting bitched by the Pacers, gets the win. And I do think it's New York in Boston. And 7 games, we get the home field advantage. Think we get it done. I think there's too much emotion of last year letting them get one on us, and we're not going to let
I
that
agree.
down. And I think we're better equipped to actually handle the Knicks than we were last year with the young
I agree.
talent, with
And
Cade
even
at
with
the
the
center.
losses, yeah, even with the losses this year, and this is not me being delusional, I just feel like the Knicks have been skating by even more than the Celtics have. They've been getting, like I was talking about at the start, this week's game, 60% from three. Well, we had our worst night of the season, and they only won by 6. So I'm not really phased.
On the West,
Continue.
that's correct. Luka misses the first round. And he comes
Yep,
back in the second round,
I
but I
agree.
don't think they make it that far. I think Houston takes care of them. And if that's the
Yep.
case,
Without Luka, that's a bad matchup. Without Luka for the Lakers, that's a bad. The Rockets are a bad matchup for them.
absolutely. So with that, you have Rockets playing the Thunder, and you have the Spurs playing the Nuggets. I am with you where I believe if the Spurs got that far, it would be a great matchup. This is the problem. The Denver Nuggets have been, I would say, slept on, even for a 3 seed in the West, right? I think the way
I
injuries have gone, the way Jokic missed games, the way they lost last year, especially, right? The way they went out, because not including this year, the past 3 years, it was the Nuggets' year to lose, right? Obviously, OKC was the favorite last year, but Denver was always kind of in it the last 3 or 4 years. I think there is no
yes,
pressure on the Denver Nuggets this year.
no,
And I think they are playing top level basketball with Jokic, MVP candidate if he doesn't miss those games. Jamal Murray's playing very solid right now, and they've just got a whole slew of characters. I think with
no.
the no pressure added, I think Denver beats the Spurs, and I think they beat OKC in the Western Conference
Mm-hmm.
Finals. And that's why I said I like that you
Wow.
mentioned the 2023 Finals, because I think in a surprise twist, we get the Denver Nuggets Boston Celtics Finals that the NBA was looking for 2 years ago.
That's another matchup I would love. I think that'd be great. I agree with you. The Nuggets are slept on. I felt like their 2023 rise to the finals was pretty meteoric. Maybe I just don't remember the Western Conference from 2022 that great, but I felt like the Nuggets kind of became this playoff juggernaut out of nowhere, and everybody was like, "Oh, like I said, like who's going to come take them on? That's got to be the Celtics." And then, I mean, for MVP, the voters definitely have Jokic fatigue. Same way like he's like the Nuggets are basically the Ravens, except the Ravens haven't won anything yet. They're a perennial like ass tax team that shouldn't be underrating and shows up for all the awards, but yet somehow gets left out of the top consideration.
That's a good analogy. I like that.
You like that? Yeah, I felt like I think the two of them they're very similar. I don't know if Lamar Jackson. Do you like? Can we get you a horse? Do you like horses? We could probably make that happen. Yeah, I like that. That'd be a good twist. Kind of two dark horse upsets. Celtics, Denver.
Yeah, I feel like the way to a championship this year for us is having a weird path. And I think it ends with Denver. I wouldn't like to see Thunder in the finals. Not to say I don't think we could beat them. I think any team we have a chance against. Obviously, Thunder are good. I just wouldn't like to see them again in the finals from a entertainment perspective, from an NBA fan perspective. Spurs, I would like to see, but I think the Nuggets are going to get one over and they're going to get in.
Yeah, I could see that happen. And I agree with you about the Thunder. I think most of the NBA's regular viewership, people who tune in every week, got tired of the Thunder real quick. I don't think that that's going to happen with the Spurs. I think, like I said, Wembanyama will be an entertainer, like LeBron for a long time, and people, even when they lose, will be like, at least we got to play the Spurs. So yeah, I think anything but a Thunder back to back would be pretty healthy for the league overall.
I think it's
Even the not even other just
yeah. I think it's just the brand of basketball they play. I just don't think SGA people love to watch. Chet is Chet, and you got J-Dub and those guys. Not to say like it, and I can't speak because I was a Celtics fan, but is it related to the Celtics 3 barrage from 2 years ago, right? Is it something similar to that where they're like, I don't like to watch
Hmm.
that? But I even think OKC's worse. It's just kind of
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I wouldn't have called the Mazzulla 3 system obnoxious. Chucking up shots isn't fantastic to watch all the time, but that's something else. The constant time at the stripe is obnoxious.
there is a lot of good basketball ahead of us, I think. I think right now, just to check in the score, it's 10-10 in the first quarter with the Celtics, but there's a lot of good basketball ahead of us. I think the playoffs are going to be exciting. I think this regular season is shaping up to be one of a more equitable one than expected. Obviously, people thought, and not to say they're so far ahead, but like Wemby with the Spurs and SGA with the Thunder, they pretty much locked up the West. I don't think that's the case. And I think the East is much stronger than expected. So definitely excited to see what's coming next. Obviously, we won't know who our matchup is until probably Wednesday, because that Tuesday or Wednesday, if the tournament remains the same structure where it's that A seed that's decided on the Thursday. And then game starts Saturday. So the next time we convene, we will only have played one game against our first matchup. But I think we covered a lot of bases today. Obviously, the big stories, the seeding, what it could be. I think, like I said, next week we're going to have a lot more people on with a more structured playoff outlook. You had your thoughts on the finals. That might change by next week. So I think it's a good place to wrap it up. Thanks for coming
Yeah,
out.
yeah, that's the.
Hope you had fun.
Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, we'll probably see
I
you
did.
again before the season's out. To all the
That'd
listeners
be fun.
out there, if you haven't been watching, playoff basketball starts this week. Playing games are something important to watch. Nice one-off games could make a whole hell of a difference. So tune in. And the Celtics are back in the playoffs. And the pathway in front of us is ever growing wider by the day. So strap in. It should be exciting playoffs.
I hope so.
All right. Well, that is going to be it from us. Thank you guys for taking a listen and hope to see you again next week. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.